Welcome back to the Scalefold podcast. Today, I'm joined by Adrian Smith. Adrian runs a conversational AI company that started all the way back in 2017. He's currently bootstrapped, runs a 20-person remote team, and is building some really cool stuff with voice agents. Adrian, welcome to the show.
Hello, friend. Thanks for having me.
Hello, fellow Aussie. Thanks for jumping on. So we always start out with sort of the origin story, who you are, what you're currently doing. Can you tell us the backstory? What's the story behind RunGopher and how did you get started?
Yeah. So my business partner started it. I was technically a late stage fan. I came a year and a bit in, but it started to solve a problem for not-for-profits in originally the Smith family. To how do they talk to a lot of people at scale when they don't have the manpower to do so? And then how do you get the biggest fundraising footprint that you possibly can without having to increase headcount? And so business partner went, we could fix that. SMS is a great medium, 99% open rate, but then how do we handle the responses? And so back then he looked and found BERT AI, which is kind of just a very simple type of AI now. Back then it was complex. And so it became conversational. So we would map out conversations and ask, hey, would you like to give to this cause, yes or no? If they say yes, they go down one path. If they say no, they go down another. And so that's kind of where it started, and then quickly just became like the platform for not-for-profits in Australia, at least for SMS. And we did all the conferences and spoke on all the stages and did all that. And then things changed. Tech got better.
For sure. And so SMS back then, 2017, different ball game. Do you have a background in AI? Like what's your personal background, like career-wise?
No background in AI. My background is sales. Well, actually, I studied audio engineering at university and recorded bands and did live sound. So very different to what I'm doing. But then I was in sales. I worked for Telstra for a long time. Then I went into consulting back to Telstra around the sales process and kind of scaling, helping licensees around the country be more profitable in what they were doing. And then eventually I met my now business partner and he said, could you kind of consult to us around what we're doing? And so that was the first in. And then I kind of came in. I didn't know what AI was. Then suddenly AI is a thing. Oh, okay. Yeah. So there was definitely no crystal ball to be like, oh, this is the company to be a part of because the future is bright for us. It just happened to land that way.
Okay. It's just goes to show everyone's still kind of learning AI not everyone, as we kind of go along, right? Like it's changing so fast. Okay. So from SMS to AI voice agents, what was the progression there? How long did it take? Was it a certain AI tool that you saw come out? How does it all work? And who is the current customers that you're serving?
Yeah. So tech evolution happened slowly. So we went from SMS and then we thought, well, it'd be really cool if you could send picture messages at the same time. And so you could send a GIF that has moving slides around the 5 initiatives or how we spent your money this last financial year for a charity. And so we integrated with MMS so you could send an SMS and an MMS. And then we went, well, it'd actually be really cool too if you could send voice for like a voicemail. And so we found you could then trigger voicemails, and then we built that into our journey tool in our platform. So now you could have SMS go out and then you could have MMS go out based on what they've said. And then you could also like drop a voicemail if, for whatever reason saying, hey, we just raised $1 million. Thanks so much. A huge impact, blah, blah, blah. But then we started doing a lot of integration. So Salesforce and HubSpot and Monday.com and Campaign Monitor in the email. And so then we added email into the platform where we could track emails, then use email and SMS, and you could merge all these technologies together, blah, blah, blah. Years go on. And then 2.5 years ago, we entered the voice arena using old technology, Google Dialogflow, which is like, it was great back then, but it just quickly became very painful to deal with because now you can generate voice using AI. Back then, we had to record every sentence and inference and map all the conversation and had to think about every possible scenario in a conversation and have audio available for that so that it sounded real. You could use computers and it would just sound like synthetic voice, but yeah, that was painful and just it wasn't scalable. We had for one conversation there was like just under 2,000 pieces of audio. So you're paying a voice actor to go hello, and then you got to think, okay, if they say don't say anything, you got to think hello, are you there? Like every small iteration. So that was where we landed with voice, and then AI LLMs became a thing, and text to speech became a thing, better, and then voice cloning became a thing. And so now we're at a point where what took us 18 months to build with Dialogflow now takes us a week to build.
Crazy. I bet that feels good.
Feels much better.
Okay, and what about the ICP? Like, who's your ideal like ICP right now?
Yeah, we started really broad just because that's what you do. And we had existing customers be like, oh, I'd love to try it, like marketing companies doing outbound, like cold calling for leads or whatever it might be. And then as time went on, that just became more and more painful. And so it's really hard to do cold calling for a Shopify partner. You get in all the mum and dad businesses that are running it as a side project. And so you get them at work. Anyway, so we started really broad, and then over time we niched down. And the two industries that we're really targeting now and doing well in is debt collection and real estate. So that's where we've landed. Yeah.
What came first, the debt collector or real estate?
Real estate, actually. Yeah.
All right. And do you remember how'd you get that client? Was it through a particular channel? Was it just someone you knew?
Well, we started targeting those that are doing high volume. We're a volume business, and so you make more money the more calls that are made. And so you think about an industry like real estate, debt collections, just high volume, repetition, similar conversations all the time, so that when you build a bot or an agent, you can use that kind of framework and spin another one up quickly. And so repetition was the thing. And it just started organically through content, actually, just posting online. I posted one particular ad. I put $20 a day on it in Meta, and it just did its thing, found its people. And real estate seemed to be the big one. And so we're just in the middle of looking at signing a partnership with another tech company that's big in prop tech in Australia to handle the voice side of things for them. So yeah, it started as kind of just helping agents. And now we're looking at it's a painful business model to go to every real estate agent in Australia. So you go to someone that already has the customer base and partner with them.
That's a good little hack there. We'll get to that sort of stuff a bit later. I just want to sort of finish painting the picture for everybody listening, and then I'd love to talk about out of the real estate and the debt collectors. I'm sure you've had a few conversations with your customers. How are they currently using it?
Yeah. Real estate, start with real estate. Real estate is a sequence of transactions that happen over time. So whether you're looking to buy a house, so you go to an open home, you log on to realestate.com and you inquire. Then you go to the open home and there's a conversation after it. And so they're using it a lot in follow-ups. How do we follow up with, if you get 100 people through an open home on a Saturday, it's a lot of work for a human agent to call back and find. And if you do 5 of open homes a day, then, volume adds up quickly. And so a lot in the follow-up process, but also the initial use case is, if I'm selling a house in Smith Street, how do I market to everyone else in that street to say that we're selling that house and would you like to book an appraisal? And so all in the outbound appraisal voice calls as well. And so there's a lot of use cases. And over the next couple of years, the goal is to really nail each of those use cases and be able to trigger voice when needed using AI to trigger, this particular buyer has clicked on this link, therefore they must be interested. Let's get in contact with them. And so working with our partner in that. So lots of different use cases. Rental market, like following up on rent if you haven't paid, following up on maintenance requests, booking appointments. That's painful. Like, when are the renters home? When are they not? When can I send a tradie? Yeah, there's hundreds of use cases.
Yeah, agree. Okay, and so you've mentioned realestate.com, Aussie clients. Are you only focused on Australia right now, or are you mixed? So Aussie, US, like where's your main base of clients?
Our first voice client was in the US and at large scale. And I really wish we met them now and not then, because they've been on the journey with us as the tech evolved and we've failed numerous times. And they're a fantastic client. I just wish we met them later when tech was now and we got started now. So we're in the States with them and another client, but we're really focusing on Australia to get that base correct and right. And then we'll expand out. So over the next 12 months, the goal is to start to move a little more into the States. But at the moment, there's plenty of work in Australia, and we differentiate ourselves in a number of ways in Australia. And so, yeah, just building that trust base has been good so far.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because the messaging when you reach out to somebody about your tool, the messaging to an Australian is completely different to the messaging to someone in the US. Even and you would know more about this, the receptiveness of AI voice of the US versus Australia. I'm on the side that Australians are a little bit skeptical when it comes
Yeah.
to this sort of stuff. Much harder to is convince the right word, I'm not sure, but at least get eyeballs on the product. Whereas the US, Silicon Valley, everybody, it seems, is receptive to AI. Are
Yeah.
you finding that
Oh,
the
yeah,
same?
absolutely. Aussies, and we're going through a project at the moment with voice cloning because there's some big companies that do voice cloning. Aussie voices sound horrendous. And
Really?
oh, yeah. And so
I thought
really got to,
Americans love our accent.
well, they love it there. Like put in an Aussie voice in the States, not an issue. Put in a bad Aussie voice in AI in Australia and people just hang up on you straight away. So the fail rate, the success bar is very high in Australia to get it right, especially in outbound. So if you call, often when you clone an Aussie voice, it comes out English or American just because they're the two majors. If you do that, and it's fine if it's just English all the time or American all the time. But as soon as it's like Aussie with a twang that kind of moves in between and then has a pause, you've lost them. So getting an Aussie clone right is really difficult. Yeah. At the moment, my voice is cloned a lot and we use my voice a lot, which is
Kind of weird.
it's going to be challenging as I call more people for debt collection and also to sell them marketing services. Like, didn't you just call me? Yeah. Anyway.
So you're having to clone a set of US voices and then you're the Aussie voice. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I mean, I guess that's a good segue into how do you develop sort of the messaging? What's your current outreach strategy? What are you doing the most of?
My outreach strategy is very simple, especially with debt collection. I send a one-line email to the right person in a debt collection agency and I say, you need voice AI. We have voice AI. Call this number. Try it here. That's literally my email.
Sweet.
And then I see them call and I can hear the conversation they've had, them trying to break it, test it. And then I send a follow-up email a couple of days later saying, looks like curiosity got the better of you. And then they say, yep, let's have a chat. That's literally my outreach strategy at the moment. Not everyone says yes. Some people say not interested, typical things, but we don't need huge volume of clients for who we're attracting in terms of debt collection. And so I send 10 emails a week. I probably have 2 meetings a week.
Yeah, I mean, you're bootstrapped, right? And it's still new tech. So I'm guessing that's by design because, I mean, are you at a point where you could have an influx of, 100 clients using this voice AI yet?
Yeah, we could scale. We just got to the point where we can do like 100,000 calls every 30 seconds. So the platform's stable enough to onboard. It's just the size of the contracts, the time to market in terms of onboarding them, making sure the agent's correct, uploading a knowledge base to make sure that it's referencing their company correctly just takes time. And so right now, that cycle works pretty well. Everyone gets high touch embedded into their company, and then you just keep moving through them like that. And in debt collection, it's a small industry in Australia. Everyone knows everyone, so you've got to be very careful about lots of different things. But just making sure that it's done correctly is paramount, because if it leaks, if it says the wrong thing, then yeah, everyone's in trouble, and so you don't want that.
Big time, yeah. Okay, so just 10 emails a week. That's pretty mind-blowingly low on scale, obviously, in a world of AI. You're making a lot more LinkedIn posts though, so sort of like founder-led, brand building. How's that going for you?
Yeah, good. I send 10 emails. I do run ads just as just a exposure branding thing. And so I talk a lot about voice tech, try and give as many examples as possible. We did a whole series on speed to lead. So understanding like the psychology of how people buy and, obviously the quicker you get to them, the better, how voice AI lands in that. And so those two things, content and that kind of that low outreach, seems to be working pretty well for us. And then it's networking too. Once you get in with one, you're pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in Australia. They're so small, especially in like these industries, real estate, debt, cars as well. Like the automotive industry is super connected. Do you have any plans to double down on ads? Like obviously you're tracking the ROI on that, emails. Do you have any plans for, I don't know, Instagram, YouTube? Where do your customers live? Are you pulling more levers into the future?
I'm pretty green in terms
Right.
of even ads. Like if you're a marketing guy, if you looked at my ads account, you'd be like, what the hell are you doing? I literally just upload a video. I write a bit of content about it and let AI and, Meta World do its thing. And it seems to be all right.
You're just using AI to create these ads, right? So that's another good point that I'd like to make. How else are you using AI in your day-to-day sort of runnings?
We use it for all our onboarding. So all of our ads that I run, so I might run 5 ads at a time. So it's kind of small scale. Tiny bit about a spend behind it. But then once they go through, if they fill in the form, that lands in Monday.com. In Monday.com, we've got a trigger automatically that calls them using voice AI, saying, hey, thanks for your interest. If they qualify, then it will book an appointment in my calendar, and then it updates Monday.com. There's a transcript, the summary of the call, the booking date, if that, and then it sends emails and sequences after that. And then we're connected with like relevance where the day before the meeting, it will go out and find details about the person I'm meeting with, give me a summary of that, land in my account, and away we go. So that's one example of how we use AI. So the whole onboarding process, like the whole booking process, is all completely automated. And then, I mean, we use AI in coding from our developers, all sorts of things. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to be, I think everybody needs to be using AI in today's world, right? So super automated there. What's the, as a founder who's doing the sort of brand building, you're still talking to customers and everything. What's the biggest headache for you on a daily? Is it creating these ads? Is it creating hooks, creators, or is it just time spent in the business having to do sort of the boots on ground stuff?
It's the changing of hats.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got a CTO, but I'm still heavily involved in product and what the developers are doing. So understanding that, then you go into testing and QA, so making sure the agents are good. And so you're making call after call after call to try and break the bots. And then you move into content world where you're like, okay, how do we get eyes on and generate? And then I've got a team of like support staff and conversation designers. And so you still got to manage them. And then you got to manage the accounts. And then we've got existing clients that aren't using voice AI and they're all in charity campaign space. And then yesterday we're meeting with the accountant because how we generate invoices in Xero is wrong. Like it just, from hat to hat to hat. And then the biggest one too is that you run in such a fast pace throughout the day. And then I've got 2 kids, married, 7 and a 3-year-old. And I work from home, everyone's remote. And so come 5 o'clock, you have to immediately switch into dad mode and kind of forget the whole day that's just been and any frustrations and turn up as dad. So yeah, that constant switching of hats throughout the day, that's a lot.
That is a lot, just hearing it. That's like contextual switches. I think I read a stat somewhere. When you switch a task, it's like 25 minutes to really get into deep work on that task. Sounds like you're doing about 5 or 6 switches a day.
That's my whole day gone.
Yeah, about that. And then it's dad.
Yeah.
That's tough. Okay, yeah, these are the unseen things that a lot of people isn't glorified when it comes to being, a founder and a builder at the same time. Speaking of the team, they're all remote. How big is the team currently?
Just under 20. Yeah.
Okay. And most of them, what are their tasks there? So not a lot in marketing. I'm guessing they're all engineers.
Yeah. We've got one girl, she's contractor in marketing. She writes just some content, more so in our company, like LinkedIn page. All engineers bar 3. So 1 customer support, like client, account manager, customer support, conversation designer, and then the rest are tech.
Okay.
Yes.
And obviously you're going to manage those guys as well. How do you make those hires? Were you introduced to that network or did you go out and find them yourself?
It's really hard. Another context switch is always hiring, because as we grow, we just need to evolve. And so not only hiring, but hiring at different caliber of people and thinking, because as you get bigger, the problem solving that you need to do, you're solving more complex problems, but you need to solve them quicker. And so you end up paying for that. So we use a recruiter a little bit for tech. LinkedIn becomes a really big vehicle for that. Content's really good. If you can sell the vision of what you're doing as a company, then, you do attract talent. But we have a big workforce overseas as well. We started with 5 engineers in Sri Lanka in 2017. They're still with us. And they've had to upskill over time. So they're still with us, but then, one in India, one in Serbia. We've hired more onshore now. And we'll continue to we'll straddle both remote and onshore, depending on the role, depending on when we need support hours too. So it's a lot though. Yeah. Finding good people is difficult in any company that you're in.
For sure. But I feel like there's a lot of crack devs out of India and Sri Lanka lately.
What's that?
All of these, there's a lot of crack devs. Like cracked is what these young 20 and 25-year-old devs are calling themselves, who can just, vibe code an amazing SaaS tool or AI tool in 6 hours over a weekend.
Yeah.
So,
until you run scale through and you realize that it's crap.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Hey, it looks good for money Twitter and AI Twitter though.
Yeah. Comment system, and I'll send you my N8 and workflows.
Yes. I'm yet to run one of those on LinkedIn, but don't judge me if I do. Damn, they still work,
I get you.
Yeah, they do. Hey, when we were chatting previously, you said something that I thought was really interesting. You said that we only have a limited time before all of this AI voice stuff and slap AI in front of anything is commoditized. Can we touch on what you meant by that a little bit more? Forgot what it was exactly that you said, the time frame.
I reckon 3 years is kind of my time frame. If you look at the evolution of tech, especially in LLMs now, and you look at what OpenAI is doing or Grok or Meta or whatever, you start to see that not only is it now LLM, so chat-based and chatbots used to be a thing, and they still are today, but now the target is voice. And so how do I use voice as an interface between chat? So like even on ChatGPT, voice mode is used hugely. But now you start to think about websites and how do you find information quickly? And so LLM has expedited everything. It's made everything faster, and we expect things faster and information. And so voice as an interface becomes a thing, and that's going to go into every element. Even glasses now have voice, like Meta glasses. And so if you look at the trajectory of it, I think we've got about 3 years until voice is just very easy to spin up. At the moment, there's still a lot of complexity in how you actually frame a conversation and hold a conversation, but that'll get easier over time. And so I think that is the time frame until voice becomes it's just another kind of plugin, another app. I could be wrong. There'll still be like the top end of town and the kind of easy apps. There'll be still some complexity. SMS is 30 years old and some businesses still don't use it. So depending on the kind of uptake in society, but that's kind of my vibe at the moment.
Okay, well, that's an interesting take. Let's say that does happen. You are right. How will companies build a moat, for example? What will be the competitive factor?
Competitive factor. Well, technology, AI has leveled the playing field just in general. Everyone has access to the same technology. And so the advantage now is speed to adapt and to adopt. And if you can help a company, now is the time to embed in a company and get fully entrenched in their systems so that when it becomes highly commoditized, you are already ingrained in everything they do. And so the thought of changing is a huge hurdle for them. And so you become the expert in that field. That's why I niche down into 2 verticals, and you just intimately know that vertical, intimately know how to get around legislation because you've built it. There's frameworks, it just becomes a trust factor. So tech won't necessarily be the edge. I don't think it'll be how you actually implement it into a business. And I think now, especially for voice, just getting very sticky, and embedding ourselves in what they do. And then obviously, hopefully piss enough people off, become attractive enough that they throw money at us and we walk away.
Okay, so that's the plan, huh? Exit plan. We'll talk about that later if you want, or now actually. Stuff it. We're on the topic. So you're building this thing over the next 3 years, and you think someone may throw an offer at you that is enticing enough to take?
I mean, I'm in tech. Like that is, whether that's the primary goal, it sits there somewhere. I'm really enjoying what we're doing in terms of building a great product that is helping a lot of people and will build a lot of efficiencies and help companies really achieve what they want to achieve. So right now it's not kind of primary, but ultimately, yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
I mean, it is a good vision, right? Because if you're building it that way, then no doubt you're building a product along the way.
and it has to be attractive enough. There has to be enough like procedures and operations, and it needs to be clean enough that when someone walks in, they go, oh, this is a well-oiled machine, and why wouldn't we? And so, yeah, there's definitely that in the back of your mind. If someone today came and offered us a whole bunch of money, is our business good enough? And it is a good driver to go, what would an outside person think about how we operate? Are we too reliant on, is there key person risk? Is there enough procedures and process involved? Are we just winging it, hoping for the best? All that kind of stuff. So it's a good motivator to run a good shop, and maybe one day, but also if we run it lean enough, then we'll have enough profit, and that's not necessarily as attractive because you go, well, what's the benefit of that? So right now I'm just in growth mode, not really thinking about it, but yeah, if the check was
Never
big
say
enough,
never.
then you'd probably say yes.
Yep. Hey, I've chatted to a couple other people about these voice AI companies and stuff, and you as well. You said long sales cycles sometimes, especially with the higher ticket clients.
Yeah.
With that comes its challenges. What are some of those challenges that you can speak on, and how do you address those?
Yeah, if you're starting a company, like time to revenue is the goal. And so how do I get money from your pocket to my pocket as quickly as possible? With voice AI, there's just a lot of things that you need to do well for that exchange to happen and at scale. And a lot of voice AI companies popping up, they can say we can build you an agent overnight. They can use tools like Vappy or Synthflow or Retell, or, there's so many of them now where you can spin up a decent voice agent in a day, in a week, whatever. As soon as you stress it, it's going to fail miserably. And so when you get to top end of town, like working with debt, where there's big regulations and legislation around what you can and can't say, same in real estate, those models don't make it. It's good for like a receptionist to book an appointment or to handle like general FAQs. But the bigger the build, obviously, the more complex.
Let's switch gears. Let's do a lightning round, and then we'll look to close out the show. So lightning round, just let me know the first things that pop into your head. Try and answer as quickly as possible. If you're ready to go.
Yeah, let's do it.
What's the biggest misconception people have about AI voice today?
That it's magic fairy dust, and it's not.
Well, come on. Okay, fine. I buy it. What? Explain that further.
Like you say, I could send you a number to call, and you would talk to it and be like, this is amazing. I could use it in 1,000 different ways. And surely that's not hard to do. It's actually really complex to do it right. And so it's not magic fairy dust. It does break. There are times where it will say the wrong or sound weird or something like that. And so educating customers that it's just like, the percentage is much smaller than a human on a bad day, but every now and then it could make a weird noise or it could pronounce your name wrong. And that's still okay. It's not magic fairy dust.
Fair enough. What is one everyday task you'd love to hand off to an AI agent right now?
I'm working on ways to not have to show up to meetings so much. Some of that's just better planning and telling people a no to a meeting. But then other times it's just how to have a conversation without being present. I'm curious to know whether it works, whether people enjoy it or not. I have a feeling that people don't, but that's one thing.
If you could instantly solve one technical challenge in AI voice, what would it be?
Better voice cloning.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Okay. And should every business owner be using AI voice by 2026? And if so, why?
Yes. There is a task, a process, something in your business where you are sinking time where voice AI can help, whether that's chasing up invoices, handling inbound calls, following up on appointments or old contracts. If you're an air conditioner repairer, automating the process to book appointments. There's so many use cases. So yes.
All right. Well, looking to the next 12 to how far do you forecast out? 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? When you look at that, what's the sort of biggest gaps you're trying to fill, and where do you see yourself being in terms of clients or even as a tech?
I look at the 2-year horizon, and I don't know. It depends on where AI goes. But for us as a technical company, our platform will be red hot. AI will be able to onboard clients really quickly. I'll automate the whole prompt process. We'll be able to scale up quickly. and we'll be in the States doing big volume.
Very nice. Is there any, do you have any events? Do you have a special offer or anything that you'd like to throw out before we wrap up?
I don't. If you want to find me, just find me on LinkedIn, Adrian Smith or RunGopher. And if you want help with voice AI, let me know.
Alrighty. Well, Adrian, this has been an awesome chat. Thanks for being so open with us, sharing some insights about RunGopher and yourself. And for those who are listening, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Cheers for joining us, Adrian. Speak to you
Thanks for
soon.
having me, mate. Cheers.
See you, mate.